Okay. So, can somebody summarize for me what I'm looking at in this table? What is this talking about? Ethan?
How many space launches the Soviet Union and the United States had?
Okay, in different years, right? So I'm looking at Soviet Union and United States. We could have done this same thing without using this crazy notation. This is a very mathematical notation, but if I had just labeled this Soviet Union and United States, you would have understood what I'm talking about, right? Okay. So what do I mean when I say U of 87? What is that asking you for? Ethan, go ahead.
The number of the space stuff in the United States in 87.
Okay, so this is telling me I want to look at United States. This is telling me I want to look at 1987. So U of 87 would be 8. And so what that represents is that there were 8 space launches. I'm just summarizing what Ethan just said. 8 space launches in the U.S. in 1987. Okay, that's really the big takeaway there. That's just getting you familiar with what is that notation talking about. Okay. I get this question on the next one, number 13. I get this question a lot. Like, what does this mean? Well, this is math. What does that mean? That's subtraction. Yeah, that literally means subtraction. And S of 88 minus U of 88. Well, S of 88 means Soviet Union in 1988. U of 88 means United States in 1988. Okay, so it wants you to do 90 minus 12. And we get, what, 78? Okay, what does that mean?
78.
Okay, there's a difference of 78, right? So there were 78 more space launches in the Soviet Union in 1988. Does that make, that's the reason you would subtract those, right? The reason, when I subtract these, that's what it's telling me. So there were 78 more space launches or there was, I like the way you worded that, Ethan, that there was a difference of 78, okay, in the Soviet Union than the U.S. in 1988. Okay? All right, now let's calculate this next one. And this next one, again, be very literal. This is math class, okay? What is U of 89? Okay, so this is 18. What is U of 80? 13. Where is it? There we go. 13. And then this part down here, I have a lot of people say, well, those are years. What is that telling you to do? Don't treat it like years there. Treat it like numbers. What's 1,989 minus 1,980? 9, right? Okay, so I want you to think about this in parts. We do 18 minus 13 is 5. So we get 5 over 9. What does that 5 mean? That's not quite what the answer I'm looking for. Like, why would I subtract U of 89 minus U of 80? What does that tell me?
Well, the difference in launches between those years.
Okay, so that this is the, I like the way you said that, difference in launches. It's all within the United States this time, right? What does the 9 tell me?
The gap in years.
Okay, so that's the number of years that passed. Why on earth would I divide those two things? Okay, let's say that your grade right now is a 100%, and 2 weeks ago it was 80%. So I subtract those two and I say, okay, you went up by 20 points, and then I divide by how many days there were in those 2 weeks. What am I doing? Clay? Okay, yeah, that's exactly right. You're finding the average change per day or per year. Per day in my great example, per year here. So what you're finding, go ahead and divide 5 divided by 9 for me. You get like 0.5 repeating, I believe?
Yeah.
Okay. So, that means that there were roughly, and we're going to go roughly because you can't have half a space launch, 0.5 more space launches per year from 1980 to 1989. So your average growth, and I really like the way you said average. In fact, I want to put that in here. So I guess average from 1980 to 1989. So if we were in charge of the United States space program, we could say, well, we've grown by about half a space launch per year. Now that doesn't literally make sense, right? You can't have half of a space launch. But that could be one every other year, right? Like we've added one more space launch every other year. And that's not exactly true when you look at these numbers, but that, like Clay said, that's on average. On average, we added one more every other year. Okay, that's what that number is telling you. So when you've got this weird fraction thing, that's always an average change over time. Okay. Good. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, because you're going to see questions like that again, so I want to make sure you're familiar with them. This happened to me yesterday too.